episode number 5. Welcome everybody. If you want to check us out on podcast
We're sponsored
services,
by EA, everyone.
we're on a bunch of them like Google and Spotify and Anchor. You can see on the description below. Alright, so let's just jump right into it. Let's do introductions. Hey, Dory?
Hey, I'm Dory. Go by she, her. My Twitter account is dclaire192. And happy to be here talking about stuff, video games.
Nice. James?
Game.
Hello, you can see my face now. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. That's it really.
Cool. Mitch?
Hi, I'm Mitch, and you can find me on Twitter at uneducatedpop.
As you can see, there's only
Yes.
4 of us this time, just because Fran's not feeling well. I'm Sebastian. I'm the host. All right. So, what are we currently playing? Dory.
Hi. I actually was just playing some Halo with some friends in the Minimax community. Before that, I was playing Ghost of Tsushima. I'm on Act 3. I'm only like an hour in or something. Boy, it can get really frustrating when you haven't done it for a week and you feel like you're so trash at like navigating and parrying, and then you get back on the thing and swing at things. And then I just finished Arkham Asylum. I played it for the first time. I already knew everything about it, the story and the combat and stuff, but played it for the first time. It's all right. It's good, but not everything's aged well, like the navigation and stuff.
All right. Mitch. What are you playing?
I gotta be honest, I'm completely forgot about what I'm playing as soon as you asked that question.
You drinking?
Yeah, I guess I've just been playing some. Oh no. I guess I've just been playing Fall Guys a bunch this week, and oh wait, no, I've started the first Burial at Sea episode for BioShock Infinite. But yeah, I haven't really had much time to play some video games this week. But yeah, no, those are the 2 main ones I've been going through.
Hey, James.
BioShock Infinite, you're going way back there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, great game though. Great game.
Yeah.
Hey, James. What are you playing?
I'm still playing Ghost of Tsushima, to my shame, and I'm still playing Fall Guys. Actually, just before we got on here, I got the trophy for 5 consecutive wins, which no one thought. But please hold your applause. Hold your applause. No one thought it was possible, but we did it, ladies and gentlemen. We did it.
It's terrific.
Tsushima,
Yeah, I
I'm
haven't played some Fall Guys.
showing up on my mic, but I'm clapping right now.
Tsushima feels like 3 weeks ago. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, what are you doing,
I
man?
beat that so long
I'm
ago.
sorry. I'm a busy guy.
I'm
I'm a busy guy.
Is that everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Games is in high demand.
Yeah,
All right.
that's everything.
So normally I was transitioning into being a PC gamer, but I think I'm bringing my PlayStation account back. Like, I didn't delete it or anything, but I'm going to be playing pretty much all my games on PlayStation now. I'm just too attached to my profile. So
Yeah. It's hard to let that go right with the trophies and
yeah, especially when you're
all the
like
accomplishments.
you got like 225 plats and 11,000.
Well, friends come and go, but platinums are forever, right?
Yeah.
So,
And I had that account for like 7-8 years now. So.
oh wow.
So, I bought Samurai Jack. I haven't got a chance to play it yet, but I'm probably gonna play it right after the podcast. And I played the Tony Hawk demo. I'm also playing Halo 3, and I'm playing. That's pretty much what I'm playing right now. Yeah. So. All right.
Actually, you reminded me. I forgot because it's not like PlayStation related, but I have been playing some Flight Simulator
Oh yeah.
on my
That's right.
PC.
Well,
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Did you end up? There's been some people who aren't Did
Did I end up
you
what?
end up finding the big banana? Did you? End
I
up
didn't find the big banana. I did not find the big banana. I'm afraid.
No.
I wouldn't know where to start. I don't. It's a big place. It's a big place and a big banana.
Yeah, that's true.
I gotta try that again.
Oh, banana.
I want to get game. I'll probably get Game Pass and try that out because that looks
Yeah.
really good. But the thing is like 90 gigabytes. Like, isn't that
Oh yeah, but it's a unique experience. It has the whole world in it, and it's still smaller than Modern Warfare. Can you believe that?
I do believe that.
I mean, Modern Warfare
No,
says everything, you know.
Yeah.
Like, how well does it run on your computer? Does it
Pretty well, yeah.
All right, because
I don't want to get too much into it, but
Yeah, just general talk. All right. So next topic is Ghost of Tsushima Legends. It's like a new multiplayer mode. It has a very like demonic red and black layout like that to it. It reminded me of Neo a lot actually.
Yeah,
Did you guys get that same vibe? Did you guys ever play Neo?
a little bit. I was kind of really happy that Tsushima wasn't getting super into like mythical. I mean, obviously you have the mythic tales, right? But usually, they say it's demons or whatever, and Jin's like, yeah, no, it's not demons, and it's never demons. It's just like House, right? It's never Lucas, except the one time it was Lucas. But yeah, I don't know. It looks really cool. I'm stoked to play Tsushima with other people. Like that's awesome. So I'm hyped for this, but it is a bit weird that they're kind of just dropping the kind of grounded base that Tsushima had in the single player, and then just kind of going all out with the lore and the mythical stuff. But I don't know if it works. It works. It's a great combat system. It's a great team, obviously. So I have faith.
Yeah, it actually gave me some Undead Nightmare vibes. Whereas you're taking this sort of very sort of grounded game and
Right.
you're bringing out this DLC for it that goes a bit crazy because it's not the main game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. I see that definitely.
Yeah, and I'm honestly like I'm fine with it. I think it's cool, and I'm glad that they did it for a DLC rather than putting it in the main game because it sort of separates it in a way.
It would have been out of place completely.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Mitch, are you gonna try it out?
Oh, well, I don't have the game yet, but yeah, I'll absolutely try it out.
Oh, yeah, that's
whether
right.
have they said whether it's going to be like a separate application or if it's just going to be sort of like a thing you can select in the main menu at all? Because I wouldn't be surprised if it's like its own sort of standalone. Well, not standalone, but sort of like its own.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know it's a free DLC. I think, right?
I don't think they clarified that like if it's like a separate mode or if it like connects to your actual game, like you use the same armor and stuff. But I don't think they clarified that yet.
Yeah. They just said that. They just said that it's a free download for Ghost of Tsushima owners, and it's coming out fall 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all.
It was only like less than a 2-minute demos or 2-minute trailer, so we didn't get a ton of info, but it looked cool.
Right.
Really interested to see how like the games like, cause like from what I've seen, like the combat in Tsushima is very like sort of like one-on-one, if like in that sort of sense, where it's like it's not necessarily like it's very focused on sort of 1v1 duels.
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so honestly.
Oh,
because you can fend off like a lot of guys at once.
That's true. That's very true.
Okay. Yes.
But yeah.
Okay.
But it is kind of like one on a bunch of guys though. Like I'm not like can somebody
like
get in your way?
Light targeting sort of system.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I'll try it out, but I'm not like excited about it or anything like that. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, I think it looks cool. Like, I think it sort of came out of nowhere. Like the surprise was pretty cool. How it's if you were gonna expect a DLC from this game, it would probably be a single player story DLC.
Yeah.
So to come out with like a co-op mode that sort of flips the whole game on its head and says, "Hey, you can play this with friends now." I think that's really interesting, and that's sort of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming out at a perfect time because that game is selling like crazy. It's like the highest selling PlayStation game. Was it like third of all time on PS4 or something like that, or was it
pretty high?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's something.
It was definitely high. Yeah, it was definitely up there.
Yeah. All right. I think that's pretty much everything about that. Let's start with the WB Montreal's game. That Batman that Batman game looked crazy good, didn't it? Like
yeah.
Gotham Knights.
I was
really surprised by it.
Definitely the biggest surprise in a while, for sure.
Oh, for sure. Like were you guys surprised that that they did the side characters instead of Batman himself?
I mean,
sure,
I was a little surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, considering the direction they seem to be going in, though, it definitely seems like they're on the right track. Like, I wouldn't I would be totally fine if they just didn't have Batman in this game at all. Like, not even like as like a end game sort of unlock or something. But it seems like they're going in their own sort of direction, and they don't just want to be, the second-rate rock setting that they just sort of make the Batman Arkham games. They seem to be doing their own thing, which I'm super happy for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like.
Do you guys think?
Go ahead.
Sorry, do you guys think that Batman's definitely dead? Like, like in Avengers with Captain America, where he's
Captain
definitely dead, he's
America.
not coming back, right? Or
I mean, we've
do you
already
think
made
they'll
the
be
comic
bringing him
book
back
joke.
at
We
some
can't do it. We
point?
can't do it 2 weeks in a row, right? Y'all, we can't do it 2 weeks in a row. I think our lawyers
I,
are talking to
I
us
disagree. I'm going to keep this going.
right
I'm
now.
going to keep this going as long as I
Definitely
can.
Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I mean, he's
But no,
dead. But
seriously though,
No, I think he's.
I don't know. I
alive.
hope he really is dead, but I don't know. I'm so burnt out on Batman as a media property. So I know it's super weird to
Yeah.
say like I hope Batman is
Sure.
dead, but like I kind of am glad that he's not at the forefront of every hacking thing. He's already got a
Yeah, no,
movie
definitely.
coming out. He's already got like other stuff that's related to him in Gotham Knights. So it just seems like I'm real happy I get to play as Red Hood if I end up buying the game because I love Red Hood. Under the Red Hood is like one of my favorite movies of all time for Batman movies. So good.
Hmm.
So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm really
Definitely.
excited about. I think the standout character was Batwoman, or is it Batgirl or
Batgirl.
Batwoman?
It's Batgirl.
I think
Batgirl.
she's still
I think
Batgirl, but
I-
she should
I
be
honestly I
Batgirl.
don't know the lore. I thought it was two different characters.
Because Batwoman's an entirely different character. Like,
Yeah,
Right,
it's,
okay.
it's silly.
yeah.
Yeah, but regardless, I thought she was the standout. Sort of, I really like her character design and everything. And I
Yeah,
saw some
yeah.
people, saying the voice was weird. I think Dory. I'm not sure if you were one of those people.
I
But,
just thought the voice was weird, but I definitely agree with you on the art design. They're obviously taking from That Girl from Burnside by Babs Tarr. She's awesome, by the way. I've interviewed her before. Just saying, she's great. And her designs for
Oh, really?
Batgirl were
Nice.
phenomenal. So I'm glad they're taken from her. What were you gonna say, Mitch?
I was just gonna say it's cool that you managed to interview her. I sort of kept pretty good on my end, but I think the art direction was pretty fantastic. The best thing my favorite thing about Arkham Origins was that they actually had a different art direction and art design for the world and the characters. Like they looked a bit more animated and novelty compared to the other Arkham games, and the fact that they seem to be more heavily leaning into the comic book side of their designs and how everything looks. I'm super happy for, to be honest.
Right. So, like, what character are you guys most excited to play as? I'll start with Dory.
I mean, I kind of already said it, but Red Hood. I'm really sympathetic to Jason Todd as a character.
Mm-hmm.
And I also I have some philosophical disagreements with Batman, so I'm very sympathetic to his to Red Hood's motivation. So I'm worried that they're going to neuter Red Hood as a character and say, oh, he's not really firing real bullets, he's firing rubber bullets, so it's okay.
Yep.
I want there
Yeah.
to be like real tension between the Bat family about
I
what
totally
direction
agree.
to go, and
Yeah.
Red Hood's going to be that we have to kill them. These people are
Yeah.
not going to get better. You need to kill people like the Joker.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to reform them.
That's my big
So-
question about Red Hood, because like he kills people and he fundamentally disagrees with the rest of the Bat family. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's
I mean,
like-
he's been integrated before in the DC comics, but I
Yeah.
don't know to how well because I've never really seen it.
I mean,
that brings up a
Yeah.
go ahead.
that brings up a good point as well. Like, I hope there is a lot of good sort of story dynamics between the characters rather than just them being like 4 different playable avatars in the same story. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
because I think there's a lot of
Yeah, I
interesting
agree.
things they could do there between the characters.
For
Yeah, we
sure.
saw a
I
little
think
bit of
another
that.
thing with that.
Go ahead, Mitch.
Sorry, I'll just I think another thing with that too is that they sort of mentioned how there's sort of drop in and out co-op, quote unquote. So it's kind of just a matter of seeing how they're going to handle story and how they're going to handle characters. If you can play as any characters, for like certain story beats, like certain missions only going to be restricted to playing as like certain characters, or anyone play any mission, and how's that sort of going to work with dialogue?
That's
and
the interesting thing.
Like, yeah.
That's the interesting thing as well. Like, a lot of the things they were saying was they sort of leaned towards it being a Destiny sort of thing, where it's like you've got a base of operations, and they were saying, "Oh, you can make the characters your own" and that sort of thing. But they came out and said, I can't remember where I read it, but they said that it was going to be a 1 to 2 player sort of open world story game.
Yep.
Which makes me think it's not going to be a Destiny,
It's not-
which is kind of weird how they've got things like a home base and stuff, but maybe it won't. maybe it won't be so in that direction.
Yeah, from what I gather, it's not a service game. It's
Yeah.
just a co-op story.
Which I'm happy about, because honestly, if
Yeah.
they made it a service game, I think
Totally.
that would reduce my excitement by 50%
I think
or
most,
more.
I think most people would agree with you. I think I saw that. That
Yeah.
was the most consistent worry I saw on Twitter. The initial reaction is this another Avengers game? That was
Yeah.
the big
Right.
worry. But yeah,
It look even as someone who's like relatively like optimistic for Avengers, I still think this looks, like first impressions wise at least, really good, if not slightly better than
Yeah.
Avengers.
yeah,
'Cause that's the thing, like-
One's this gen, one's next gen, but still, like it looks great.
Yeah, like because the main difference as well being that like in something like Avengers, you're doing the same missions over and over again, but in in a single player or co-op sort of story game, you're going through like these big set pieces a lot more often. I feel like.
I think it also helps that you're not having Uncanny Valley, right? And I get that this is not really a
Yeah.
fair thing to do, but
Mhm.
I mean, the Avengers game kind of set themselves up to fail by completely copying the MCU. Gotham Knights here is obviously doing their own art style and direction, which I liked. One other big concern that I saw, and I don't really share it, but it's helpful to note that some people were worried that the free flow combat was gone or something like that, and that it was being replaced by something else.
Yeah, I
Personally-
noticed that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, personally, I don't really mind because Rocksteady and WB Games did that for a total of 4 games, so I feel like the wells kind of dried up on that. But
Right.
I mean, I know people obviously love the free flow combat. I mean, I just beat Asylum, like I said before, and I dig it, and I think it only gets better in City. But I think eventually you have to make a new system.
Right. I mean, it's a very simple combat system. A lot of people just spam like the same button, square, triangle.
Yeah, I mean, people are saying like, oh no,
There's
it's going
more
to be
to
like
it.
Avengers, it's going to be a button
Yeah.
masher. But I'm like, yeah, but the free flow system, all you do is press square, and then you press triangle every now and then. You
Sure,
might as
but
well be playing Kingdom Hearts.
There's a ton of combos though, like you can do. Like a lot of people just
Yeah,
play
that's
it that
I
simple.
wouldn't even. Yeah.
That's true.
I think with that combat, I wouldn't even say it's just like the combos as well. It's like because Asylum's like pretty basic with its combat, except that was still super satisfying because of the sound design,
Yeah,
just the
sure.
animations,
Right.
like it's all in the feel. And
Yeah.
I think like from what we've seen, the attacks in this game don't have like the same to every impact that what you call it Asylum does.
The
any of the invents, I should say, yeah.
Well, yeah. So I mean, with Asylum, like you could mix in the batarangs and the backclaw and the gel and stuff like that. So I mean, that was cool,
Mhm.
but it never felt necessary. It is kind of like I know this is a weird comparison, but it is kind of like Kingdom Hearts. On the lower difficulties, you never feel like you need to really use anything besides the X button. But on the
Yeah.
higher difficulties, yeah, I'm sure you need to use the explosive gel and
Right.
batarangs
You
and
do,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
It's true.
Yeah.
Definitely. What do you guys?
There was an interesting.
Go ahead, Jim.
Sorry, why do you go? No, you go.
All right. What do you guys think of the numbers? Like, what RPG aspects do you think it's going to be in this game? Is there going to be like armor pieces, like Avengers, or is it? What do you guys think?
I hope not. I assume it'll just be. I mean, there might be gear. I don't know. If it's just like
I'd say that there'd be gear, yeah.
if it's just like different weapons and stuff, that'd be fine. I don't want to have to keep picking up gear every
Yeah.
5 minutes. But I mean, I didn't see any gear drop off any enemies.
Right. And
So
but it's in the description.
We
They're
did
calling it
see-
an RPG. So. That's
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, and
Plus,
you can
with the
you can probably turn like the damage numbers off and stuff. So
Yeah, I hope so. It
Yeah.
kind of sticks out. I mean, it's not atrocious or anything,
But it
but
sticks
it
out.
definitely like sticks out.
Because it didn't even appear when we fought the henchman. It only appeared when you fought the boss. You fought Mr. Freeze.
No, it was
Right?
there was a
Was it
10
there?
above.
Was
No,
it?
there was a 10 above one of the henchmen. Yeah, I think that
yeah,
was
the
saying
level
what level they were.
numbers.
Oh, maybe I just
Yeah.
missed that. Yeah, I was watching on my iPad.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
And there is damage numbers as well. Sorry, I'm watching it right now, and there's numbers. I don't know if those are damage numbers or XP numbers or something. But when
Yeah,
you
I
take
think
down
they're
an enemy,
actually-
when you I'm watching now. When you hit enemies, there's a number that comes up,
yeah, the
and
thing
it's
is,
either white or yellow depending
It's
on
like-
presumably
yeah.
whether it's a critical.
yeah. The thing is, I don't like that
There
kind
is
of.
like an XP bar, yeah.
I don't like when the games use numbers like that because like it's always like arbitrary numbers. Like where the hell do these numbers come from? Like what's calculating this? It never explains it. Like
I personally don't mind it. It's just one of them background things for me. But I
just
can
hope you
definitely
turn
see
it off.
it.
In a bad
If it's going on in the background, if it's a subconscious thing, I don't mind. But if it's like at the forefront, it bothers me a little. But it wouldn't make or break the game.
No. But I think it's gonna be the forefront because it's an RPG. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
it
For
says
sure.
it. They're putting it in all the descriptions that it's an RPG. So it's gonna be like you're gonna get armor +2 something. Strength. I hope it's
Yeah.
something like that. But
I don't think they'll go too crazy with it.
No,
is the
no.
thing.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, because otherwise I think we would have seen something about that in this demo.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get something when you complete a mission, or I don't know.
Maybe, but
Who knows?
they weren't gonna deep dive into this game anyway. Like at that show, like we have to.
Yeah, sure.
We're gonna
I
have
do
to see
appreciate
it.
that they. I do appreciate they showed gameplay though.
Oh yeah. But they're gonna.
'Cause
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
think I
absolutely.
don't think
Yeah.
we expected that really.
They're gonna do like a 30-minute, 40-hour gameplay demo. I'm sure at some point, like in the future, like at its own
Yeah.
event. So
Yeah.
this
Probably.
The best game reviews always have gameplay like with them because
Yeah.
it actually shows you what the game's actually like. 'Cause, I mean, if we just had the like the CG trailer, cinematic trailer, I should say, like we would have gotten some idea. Except the gameplay like definitely helped like sort of set that in stone and say, okay, this is the game that we're expecting. This is what we need to expect because a lot of games, including a certain game we're going to talk about in a bit, sometimes often don't include gameplay with their reveals, and then it leads to mixed reception.
Right.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I would not have been as excited for this game. I wouldn't have been paying attention to this game when they did show gameplay if they didn't show gameplay now.
I'm
So
curious
it's
about
good that they.
something I'm curious about within the trailer or within the gameplay, I should say, is Mr. Freeze. So in the trailer, it seems like he's freezing the entire city. Now, usually Mr. Freeze is portrayed as kind of like an anti-villain, right? He's doing bad things, but the only reason he's doing bad things is because he wants to get save his wife Nora. But here it just seems like callous cruelty. So I wonder if Nora, and I'm just total speculation, but I wonder if she's died or if this is some sort of different vision where he's just a lot more crueler for cruel's sake. I don't know. It's just something that caught my attention because I was like, they don't usually portray Freeze this way. It's usually a little more sympathetic.
It's probably just the boss. Like they're just making him a video game boss.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I don't know. It's stuck. There's
no
in-story reason for it, and it's just like, yeah, Mr. Freeze just like this, and it's like, no, he's really not. He's really like a little more sympathetic than that. He's not a great guy. I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm just saying he's got sympathetic reasons for what he does.
Right.
Yeah. I think they mentioned that he came to like apparently Freeze came to Gotham for like his own, like he had his own agenda with it. So and they also says like partway through his storyline, which makes me sort of question what the structure of the game's story is going to be. But anyways, that's a completely other topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's definitely something going on with Mr. Freeze because like with Dory, Freeze is definitely like one of those anti-villains that has like a lot of sympathetic qualities, especially in the Arkham Knight DLC. Also, he was pretty.
Yeah.
I'm just disappointed that they didn't have him say "chill out" when he started the boss fight.
Cool body.
Bring Arnold Schwarzenegger back.
I think one
Yeah.
other cool thing, by the way, that they said I don't think this was part of the live stream, but they did a developer sort of commentary where they had a guy talking over the gameplay that they put up on YouTube. And one of the things he mentioned during that boss fight was that like the bosses and stuff, they'll change depending on what level you are. So they'll match your level, but also they'll have different attacks and stuff like that depending on what level you're at, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
I heard actually like they followed through on that promise and not just like the only attacks that are different is just sort of like one sort of like the damage output they have or anything. Like I heard that some of their
definitely.
hits and stuff and the strategies associated with them actually change and evolve over time because that'd be Also,
that would be
sorry,
really
on
cool.
that note, I kind of mentioned it. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. It's like, but I think the structure of the game because they mentioned like if you take them on a level 5, it'll be completely different sort of thing. So it sort of makes me question. Like, well, can you take on any of these storylines like at any level? Like what the structure of the game is going to be like? So it's like if we can you hear me still? Or?
Yeah, I hear
You're better, but you're breaking up a little still. But carry on.
Yes, so structure of the game whether we can take on any sort of storyline at any time at our own pace, or if it's like a linear story that evolves at whatever pace the developers and writers choose. Is
Right.
what I'm really.
I saw a lot of the fan reaction on. I mean, I know this part isn't surprising, but IGN comments was pretty negative, and then it was a couple of people moderately cautiously positive, and then even on Batman Arkham videos, which is a pretty popular site for a lot of Batman stuff, a lot of people were disappointed. So I don't know, like that's not really changing my mind. I think it looks good, and I think a lot of it looks promising. But it does seem like the larger internet reaction, that at least that I've seen on YouTube, is negative, or at least neutral negative, which is surprising because I think it looks pretty solid. I mean, not perfect. I have concerns, but I don't know. It looks pretty good. And I mean, if I get to play as Red Hood and kill people, great.
No,
So I don't know.
Speaking of Red Hood, this is more for Dory. What do you think of his design? Because I know a lot of people were not happy about the design. They say he looked like Deadpool too much.
I didn't even notice that.
It's a common
I'm gonna look
comment I've seen. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see it too much. He looks okay. I've seen better designs for him, honestly.
I agree.
But he looks fine. I think Batgirl looks the best by far, and then Nightwing.
Yeah.
But
Nightwing.
he looks okay.
Yeah, he does. I think he looks pretty solid, but I think the Arkham design is way better. Like he looks badass in the Arkham games.
Yeah, he looks so good in Arkham, and I wish they had kept that. I'm not the biggest fan of Arkham Knight, but they did him justice with DLC.
DLC.
In terms of his design, not in terms of what actually happened in the DLC, because it's like what, a 30-minute thing.
Yeah, it wasn't
or
a story. It was just DLC.
Yeah, but the design
great,
is what was
fantastic.
good.
Yeah.
The design.
Because people was like he's Red Hood, but he doesn't have a hood on. People were saying that.
Yeah, he's got a. I mean, that's kind of silly because he's never consistently had a hood on. It's just a name. Joker didn't have a red hood when he was Red Hood. It's just he has the mask. It's a dumb thing. It's comic books. Stop it.
I know, right? That's the common problem I've seen. Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's the least of the issues.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I mean, I wasn't like blown away or anything like that, but I think something
that trailer gave me chills. I don't know how y'all thought about that trailer, but that trailer really got me going.
Yeah, the trailer was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think much of the trailer, honestly. It was a gameplay for me. Sorry, Seb. What were you saying?
This is the opposite for me. I think the trailer was great, but the gameplay was good, but it wasn't like it didn't like absolutely blow me away or anything. It looked very
that's kind of where I was at as well.
Very standard, like Batman Arkham game.
Yeah, no, like I don't know. The trailer for me looked like just sort of another generic sort of CG trailer that's sort of setting things up. Maybe I'm less attached to the IP. I don't know. But no, the gameplay was like the trailer was underwhelming, but the gameplay was at least visually very appealing. Like I was saying to Mitch earlier, there was the moment when they're walking up they're climbing up the building and they turn and they see the whole city and there's lightning coming down, and that's just like really visually just such a cool thing to see. I think especially with those graphics and everything.
Like WB Montreal, I think did a great job with the Origins, so I do have some confidence in them. I don't have as much to go back to that Avengers comparison. Even if this like played a little bit like the Avengers, like, I have more interest and more faith in WB Montreal than I have with Crystal Dynamics. I mean, I like Tomb Raider, but I never played the sequels or anything. And
definitely with you there.
Yeah, so I have a good amount of confidence that this is actually going to turn out to be pretty good, but we'll see.
Right. The thing is, like, you guys are probably higher on Origins than a lot of people are. I think a lot of people tend to say Origins is the worst Batman game out of the four.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I think
not at all.
I like it better than Night. I actually like it better than Night, honestly, because I thought Night had too many Batmobile sections.
Absolutely.
Way too much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Way too much. I don't like the plot of Night either. I think the plot of Night is atrocious.
No, because the story was about Scarecrow, but they made it about the Joker, and then and then it just ended. It didn't have a good ending. It just kind of just ended.
Yeah. We shouldn't get sidetracked, but I don't like Night as much as some other folks do.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right. So let's talk about the next game. Rocksteady showed the Suicide Squad game. Yeah. We'll start with James on this one.
Sure. I can't remember which one of you said it, but I think somebody said like it's ironic, and maybe Mitch, that it's sort of ironic that the Rocksteady game is the one that doesn't look as good, and the one from WB Montreal, the guys who made Arkham Origins is the one that looks a lot better. Because honestly, that trailer, I was hoping for some gameplay, like we all were. But that trailer was kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
It had a lot of that sort of Sunset Overdrive thing going on, which I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect that, and I'm not sure I'm a fan of it for this sort of thing. So yeah, I don't know. I was a bit underwhelmed with this one.
Oh yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you. What do you think, Dory? Did you watched it like?
I did watch
right
it.
before
Yeah, I
the-
chuckled at a few lines. I thought the trailer looked okay. I have never been a big Suicide Squad fan. Honestly, I'm not that I hate it or dislike it even. I've just never been super sold on the concept. I think it's just kind of cheap to have Amanda Waller just plant a bomb in their heads, and now they conveniently do these things that the plot requires. It just seems kind of a cheap thing to do. But yeah, so I don't know. It looks okay. I don't know. I feel like there's too much Suicide Squad stuff right now. Honestly,
Yeah. I agree.
with the movie, and then the movie a couple years ago, and now the video game. It's like I feel like I've had enough of Suicide Squad. But that said, I did like I think I've mentioned this before, but I like the Arkham movie that's based on Suicide Squad. That was great.
Yeah.
But
This-
I wasn't hot on it, but it doesn't show gameplay, so
Yeah.
I guess I'm glad that you get to kill the Justice. I don't know. That's whatever.
Well, it's just all we've seen is Superman so far, but
Yeah,
he
yeah.
seems like an evil one. Seems like the Injustice one. It's not Injustice,
Well,
but it seems like.
I think he's controlled by Brainiac. That was the construct at the beginning.
Yeah.
It seemed like a Brainiac thing.
Yeah, because the purple
Yeah,
eyes.
because the purple.
Yeah.
Brainiac is very fashionable.
Yeah.
That's what he's known for.
Mitch, what did you think?
I was pretty underwhelmed by it. I mean, honestly, I think it was when like you saw Captain Boomerang, the person known for being, probably the most sort of human and sort of, I guess, would say grounded character, like teleporting around like his frigging Tracer from Overwatch or whatever, and then you've got King Shark with a with the machine gun or whatever and machetes, and I'm just like, yeah, you're kind of losing me here. It doesn't look like they know the art direction again, and the tone don't seem to mesh at all. Like nothing for me seems to be like coming together into like one cohesive package. From like, okay, this is the direction they're going for. I've got what they're doing. It's really, yeah.
I think DC's getting a little too obsessed with Harley Quinn. I mean, I love Harley Quinn, don't get me wrong, but like they're putting her in like everything now. Like she's like her own movie, her own game, like her own show now. It's like I think that's adding to the whole like Suicide Squad like overkill.
Like I'm glad that she's getting her own time because like honestly she deserves it. Like it's really overdue. She's a great character.
Yeah.
But I do agree that she's getting too much exposure. I think that's partially Suicide Squad
Birds of Prey,
fault at being fault there. But I mean I like Birds of Prey and I'm happy for her for having that show that I still want to see that's on DC's streaming service or whatever or HBO Max, whichever at this point.
Probably both.
But yeah, I think you're right. I would have liked someone else in the lead of Suicide Squad, both the movie and this game, because we've had a lot of Harley, y'all.
Right. Like
yeah, they're definitely turning her into DC's Deadpool.
Do you? Yeah, that's a good
We all know
comparison.
Deadpool.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're basically Deadpooling her.
Yeah, for sure. Do you guys think there'll be more characters, or do you think they're gonna stick with 4 characters at launch?
I don't know. Like it seems like a game that's focused on being like a 4-player co-op thing. So I don't know if they would add more characters. I think they'd probably save that for a sequel if they're hopeful about that sort of thing.
Probably season 2.
But like, of course, the big red flag is that this is a Destiny, isn't it? It's supposed to be a Destiny. I don't think they've confirmed anything, but that's what the leaks have all said for years up to this point.
Is there loot?
Which is I don't know, but like it's to that point, it's a little disappointing that it's been 5 years since their last game, and this is all that they have. They don't have gameplay, just a CG trailer.
Right.
Well, I assume it's a CG trailer, right? Maybe it's not. Maybe this is in engine.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's a little disappointing.
I feel like if it was in engine, they would have said so because WB Montreal kept I think they said it at least 2 or 3 times that their gameplay was in engine, and they were very proud of that. So I feel like Rocksteady would have done it. Yeah, it's so weird that the Montreal game is kind of the vibe that I'm getting from the internet is like people are more interested in the Montreal game than the Rocksteady game, which is weird because everybody was excited for Rocksteady.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I don't know. It's a super
And then-
weird situation to be in. It's just like
Weird.
Gotham Knight isn't coming out till 21, and this isn't coming out till 22. So it's like
Really?
there's so much wait and see to still happen.
Yeah, let's.
They announced this way too early. Like I mean, I know the fact that everyone's like glad that Rocksteady finally have revealed what they're doing, but they still revealed it way too early.
Yeah.
2022, and if all we're getting for like another year or so is just this trailer. Yikes.
Yeah,
But, so just back to the character thing we were talking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Back to the character thing James talked about earlier. I think so I'd be fine with just having 4 characters at launch, but then I mean I guess you could say Avengers has sort of spoiled it for me in the sense that every character looks like they play the same. Like every character has some form of enhancement abilities. Every character seems to have a melee attack. Every character seems to have a ranged attack.
Yeah.
Like a gun or something. They all look pretty much just like the same. Whereas at least with Avengers, you had Hulk, like, and then you had Thor and Black Widow. Like, you know, even though they all basically, I guess, if they played the same, they each had their own sort of like quirks to them that made them. But
Right.
yeah, might just be a trailer thing, but I'm not getting that with this game.
Yeah, like I think they did a lousy job showing this game off. Like, I mean, I understand like a DC show, they're not gonna really dive into the game because the show is more about DC as a whole, not the game itself. But
Yeah.
it was just very awkward the way they do like a weird trailer that feels very Fortnite, like, you know, kid cartoony.
Yeah.
And then it goes into like these cartoony
Yeah.
interviews with you know, like real celebrity. Like, it's just gamers don't like.
It was
that kind of
definitely an odd choice to have the characters talk to Will Arnett rather than somebody interviewing a
stuff.
developer.
Yeah, it was just weird.
Oh wait, no,
So
sorry,
weird.
they did the developer thing as well, didn't they? Never mind.
Yeah.
But the Will Arnett thing was
5 minute characters, yeah, it was terrible.
the Will Arnett thing was strange, and I think it went on a little too long.
It definitely did.
Very long.
And I like Will Arnett, but that was just not.
Yeah.
It didn't seem very funny.
Definitely.
Because this is me.
Bad.
I haven't looked at the reaction to it, but I'm sure like most people probably think this looked terrible. Like I'm guessing that the reaction to this is probably not very good. Honestly.
Yeah.
I can't imagine people
mean-
digging this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like mostly mixed to negative right
Okay.
now, at least, yeah.
Yeah. Because we literally went from the live react to this, so. Well, no, not that we did.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we all agree that the Gotham Knights looks like the better game, for sure. Like
Oh, yeah,
we're more
100%.
excited about that game because we gotta
Yeah.
move on.
Absolutely, man.
All right.
Yeah.
So next topic, it is the Prince of Persia remake got leaked because Ubisoft, like, I don't know what it is with Ubisoft, everything gets leaked.
It's not a Ubisoft game if it doesn't leak.
Exactly.
That's the rule.
So, are you guys
I
excited
have
about
no
this?
idea how like it's been this long and Ubisoft hasn't gone, hey, maybe we should sort of like do things differently with how we, start publishing and marketing our games or anything. 'Cause
Well, you would
if it works,
think,
then-
right?
Yeah.
You would think
Yeah.
if there was an inside man that they would have found him by now. But what if Yves is the inside man? What if he's the one leaking everything?
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
You never know.
So quickly, what is your guys' history with Prince of Persia? Have you guys played a lot of the games, or?
None at all. Zero. Zilch. Nada.
That's great. That's weird.
Yeah, nothing for me
I
either.
played,
What podcast am I on?
The Forgotten Sands.
You walked into the wrong room.
You came to the wrong neighborhood, buddy.
Yeah.
Mitch, have you played any Prince of Persia games? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, no, I played the Forgotten Sands.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I played the Forgotten Sands, which is
Mhm.
my favorite game, but I liked it at least.
I mean, I played Assassin's Creed Origins. Sorry, not Origins. I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and if you think about it, that's kind of like a very late descendant of Prince of Persia.
Great, great, good one, James.
Mine is being fun, but yeah.
I mean,
no.
Right. Sure.
Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia.
I mean,
was-
technically the whole Assassin's Creed
Prince of
franchise.
Persia is really fun because the
Prince of
platforming,
Persia,
the
yeah,
platforming is
yeah.
really fun, and like where you can verse time and things like that. Like that's the best. Like, and the combat's like really. Those were some of the best PS2 games or Xbox games like back in that day. The remake, I didn't think I played the remake honestly. That or reboot or whatever. They did a reboot like I don't know late 2000s or something like that. But I think Nolan North was the.
That rings a bell for sure.
Was the
Oh yeah, that one.
But I
yeah,
think it bombed
the
though.
fairy genie one. Yeah.
I think it bombed in terms of sales because people wanted
Yeah.
the original, the character. So, I am excited about this, but I need to see more. I can't really get too hyped until I see a trailer or something. You know, like Ubisoft is always hit or miss with me.
I think that's never. Yeah.
Like I don't like Ubisoft is their games are either great to me or I could care less. So it's just one of those things. All right. So the next topic. Dory's impressions.
Giving up on that one already. Okay.
Yeah, there's not really much to say. You guys didn't play the other games.
Sure. Yeah.
Dory, what's your impressions of Tony Hawk?
It is totally radical, dude.
Hang on. He asked you what your impressions are of Tony Hawk, the guy.
Yeah, what do you think of the guy?
Yeah. So I ran
overrated?
into Tony Hawk with no. I'm just kidding. So my experience with Tony Hawk is very interesting. So I know I played like some of the originals, but I couldn't for the life of you tell you whether it was 1, 2, or 3. I know I played some of the originals. The last Tony Hawk game I played was in Tony Hawk Underground.
Great games.
When I was, a funny story about that. It's probably not going to be funny, but I played Tony Hawk Underground, and when I just had like I was a teenager, so I was still having like a lot of mental health issues with being autistic and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, in this like mental hospital that I was in, I played this PS2 that had Tony Hawk Underground. So that's how I played Tony Hawk Underground. Very strange experience, but very positive because it was a good game. Anyway, this game is real good. The demo's real good, I should say. I played about 2 hours of it. My partner and I went back and forth. She played some of the originals too, and she absolutely kicked my ass at first. It was great because usually I'm so much like I have a better sense of like how to play games a lot of the time just because I grew up with it more than she did. But she was whooping me. She got like 50K in 2 minutes within her first couple tries, which for the record is pretty impressive. It's not a very big arena to work with, and we didn't know a lot of the controls. So I've since been able to get like 78K, but it's still like she did really great, and it was just a lot of fun.
Right. What was your highest score that you got?
Yeah, so my highest score I think was 78K. I was able to do this because I mixed a couple of tricks together. Honestly, some of my best moments came through, to quote Bob Ross, happy little accidents.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to connect some moves together that I wasn't necessarily planning on connecting, but I was just able to press the buttons in time.
Yeah.
It's definitely exhilarating when you get those. Like the demo feels to me like it's the epitome of tough to perfect, but really satisfying when you do. When you're able to land those tricks, and especially when you're able to land the more complicated tricks, and then even past that, a series of complicated tricks and mix them all together and get like 11,000 points on one series of tricks, like that feels really satisfying, really gratifying, really good. So I had a blast with it. The demo only has 3 songs. It gets a little repetitive, but my play sessions were pretty spaced out, so I didn't mind a ton.
Great songs.
Yes, great songs for sure. I mean, Rage Against the Machine is one of my favorite bands of all time, but so I never really mind hearing them. But I've heard Guerrilla Radio a million times.
Yeah,
so.
you would have heard a lot of background noise if I didn't mute that. So that's why I did that.
Oh, no worries. I didn't even notice. But yeah, it was really fun. I played about 2 hours of it, and my partner played a bit of some too, and she also really enjoyed it. It felt really natural, really, really good. So.
It feels just like the original, like in terms of how fluid it is. It's like it's literally the same area, I think, the same stage. Because I went back and looked at like old footage of the original game, and it's exactly the same. It's just obviously remade completely, but
Yeah.
But it feels really good. Like the skating is really fun. Like you can do so many different tricks and everything like that. And I only played like maybe 5 rounds, and I've got my highest is probably like 65,000 or something like that. But
Nice. In the lead.
yeah. The soundtrack's amazing, of course. You know, those soundtracks are legendary, obviously.
Hmm.
The only thing is, obviously, we couldn't really test you can create your own skater in this one, and you can create your own park,
Yeah.
which is really awesome.
I did.
I'll probably
Yes,
spend a lot of time doing that. Yeah.
The trailer got me really hyped because I don't know if this was the original. Maybe some of y'all know, but I don't think you could make your own
No,
skate park.
I don't
No,
think so.
okay, I didn't think so.
No.
But I didn't remember it being there.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's super hype. I'm not usually I'm not usually into that player created content.
Mm-hmm.
But that looks really cool. So
Yeah, I want to make myself. I want to see that'd be cool. If, I want to see how good the customization is and everything like that.
yeah, for sure.
What else? I guess I can't fully appreciate the original games only because I was very young when they came out. Because they came out like 97, right? I want to say 97, 98.
Yeah.
So I was only like 4 or 5 years old. So.
Yeah, and I was only like 7. So
So the funny thing is I have a lot of nostalgia for those games because I played them, but at the same time I have more nostalgia with the Underground games on PS2, and there's one on PSP that I used to play. There was a Tony Hawk game on PSP that I had to like. I begged my mom to get it for me. Like I used to play that everywhere I went. I would go to like shows and stuff and just play it like in the audience and stuff. That game was so fun. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't have a lot of strong memories of playing it. The only thing I really remember from Tony Hawk is Eric Sparrow from Tony Hawk Underground and him being the villain. And that's really all I remember from Tony Hawk. I remember enjoying the originals, but again, I don't remember which ones I played.
Yeah.
I do remember the mall level. I know for sure I played that, but and probably the warehouse too. But I'm so fuzzy on my PlayStation memories of playing Tony Hawk, but I definitely did.
You remember Spider-Man at least?
I know of it. I know that it was a thing back in PlayStation, but I never did it myself, which is weird because I loved Spider-Man. I still love Spider-Man. What am I saying? But I really loved Spider-Man back then as a kid.
Yeah.
So if I had the opportunity, I probably would have done it.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna have any like cool characters like that, like just like maybe PlayStation could have like a a Ratchet cameo or something just to be funny. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool. All right, I think that's pretty much all we really could add to the game, right? Like, anything you want?
Yeah.
I don't want to like.
I will. I can't compare it too much to the original because I mean, heck, I don't really remember much of it. Like I've been saying. But I will say that it feels very fluid. It feels good when you make the tricks. The movement feels good. There's some times where I couldn't quite grind on rails and it felt a little iffy, but that also might just be due to me being incredibly rusty. And also, it's a pretty small space to work with. I feel like once you have a bigger space, it'll be a little more forgiving.
Yeah.
But the warehouse, after you play the warehouse for a couple hours, it starts feeling really claustrophobic. You're like, wow, this is great, but I want a lot more space.
It can be really unforgiving because you can do some badass like tricks in a row, and you have like 40,000 points from like 3 tricks, and then you screw it up, and you lose all of it, and you lose your special meter.
I guess if I have a complaint, and this is nitpicking, when you fall and Tony Hawk gets back up, it's kind of digital. I don't mind that.
Yeah, they
it's
changed
kind of
that.
They which is obviously new.
Yeah.
But they make the music like get lower for a second. I just found that a little annoying. I was like, no, don't stop the music just because I messed up. Like that's not really what I.
Yeah.
That feels a little overly punishing. I already lost the points, and I'm already knocked down.
I want to hear my Superman, damn it! No, why are you shutting the song? It wasn't 3 songs they showed. Like System of a Down, and then it was like Goldfinger, and then I forget the third one.
No, it wasn't System. It was
it?
Afraid of Heights. No, it was Afraid of Heights by somebody, and then it was Guerrilla Radio by Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, Rage Against the Machine is what I meant. Yeah.
Oh,
I was thinking of Guerrilla Radio.
Come on.
I know. It's getting late.
I'm so disappointed. My day is ruined, and my disappointment is
forgetting my new metal, my post grunge, and all that. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to our top 5 genres. All right, let's go. So our top 5 genres. So what we're gonna do is what we did last time. We're gonna do each number one at a time. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're gonna start from the bottom. So you're gonna do your least favorite. If that makes sense. All right. So I'm gonna start with my number 5, which is the fighting game genre. Not so much nowadays, but fighting games are a big part of my childhood. I played so many of them. Tekken Tag Tournament, Soul Calibur, all the Dragon Ball Z fighting games, pretty much all the Tekken games, really. What else? Virtua Fighter. What else is there? Dang. Yeah, so, like, I was the best at Yoshimitsu in Tekken. Like that's my guy. Like both because he's in Soul Calibur and in Tekken Tag. In Tekken Tag, I was the best. Like my friends, like I used to kick everybody's ass. Cause I love he can stab himself in the chest and things like that. Yeah, so fighting game genre is really fun. The only problem with that genre is that you have to play the game all the time. Like there's no breaks. You can't play other games. You have to play that game like 12 hours a day if you really want to like get on that level. You know what I mean? To be competitive online. Otherwise, you play online now, you just get your ass kicked like quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can't. I'm rubbish at fighting games anyway, so I can't even.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't do anything beyond button mashing.
Yeah. There's some games are easier to do than others. Like Dragon Ball Fighters, the combo system is a lot simpler. Like you can just like press square like a couple times and it does a whole combo for you. But like in Street Fighter though. It's so complicated. It's basically made to play on the big the control panel thing, you know. Because you have to go like you have to spin the whole stick around, and then like it has to be a perfect sync, and it's really complicated. I'm horrible at Street Fighter.
I guess it's one of those things you have to dedicate some time to, like learning how it works.
Yeah. Like Tekken Tag is just like down left triangle. So if you remember the combos, the strategy is just knowing when to use those combos. But it takes a lot of practice. So you always pick a character that you're just great at, and you stick with it. Maybe you always get like 2 or 3 that you're really good at, and just keep practicing with those characters. So, I know, and of course I gotta mention Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat's a big part of my life, and the original games, the 2D ones. Not so much the 3D ones. Maybe the newer 3D ones are pretty cool, but I'm pretty terrible at the new ones. Especially Mortal Kombat 11. I get my ass kicked on that one. I just don't like the way it feels. Alright, so...
Yeah, I think the closest I've gotten to one of those is playing the single player in something like Injustice or Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Yeah, the closest I've gotten is like Super Smash Brothers.
Super Smash Bros. Yeah, I love that as well.
I played Soul Calibur 3, I think it was, for the and I was a big fan of Zalzamel whatever the heck his name is, the guy with the scythe. And it was obsessed with time. I was really into that guy when I was playing PS2. But besides that, I don't really play fighting games a lot. They don't really appeal to me.
Yeah. So what about you, James? It just doesn't appeal to you at all?
I just never it's never appealed to me to spend the time to learn it.
Yeah.
So I play sort of stuff like Smash Bros. And the single player, maybe in Injustice when it's free.
Yeah.
Just for the fun. But yeah, I would never dream of doing it competitive and like doing it online or anything like that.
Yeah, like
I've gone to a few Smash tournaments, but I mean, I never even get close to placing. I think I went to a local tournament and I got a couple rounds in, and then I think I lost in the 3rd round. But yeah,
but even in something like Devil May Cry, it's a nightmare for me to like remember combos and stuff. So I never even bother with it.
It's understandable. I feel like about Smash Bros. It's very simpler. It's a lot more simple. It's just beating up, and I'm pretty good at Smash Bros. I'm not like amazing. I've won tournaments, but not like I wouldn't say I'm the top player. All right, so
okay.
Yeah, Dory. Actually, before I finish, my friend used Jigglypuff. He used to kick everybody's ass with Jigglypuff, like everybody. Like there was like 30 people in that tournament. He just wiped the floor with Jigglypuff. Like it wasn't even close.
The problem is that people always underestimate Jigglypuff, but Jigglypuff's got some really good moves if you know how to use it.
Yeah. All right, Dory, what's your number 5?
Number 5 is tricky for me. I kind of mesh together walking simulators and point-and-click adventures. I know these are different genres, but they're kind of similar to me. and I like them very similar. So for walking simulators, I'm thinking about What Remains of Edith Finch. For point-and-click adventures, I'm thinking about stuff like Grim Fandango.
Yeah.
For like mystery adventure stuff. I really like these because they make me feel really immersed in the world. What Remains of Edith Finch is an excellent kind of walking simulator. I know some people use that as like a insult, but I don't mean it as an insult. I just mean descriptively. You do basically a lot of walking. You do some mini games too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a lot of the core gameplay is walking.
Mhm.
But I love those kind of adventures. Tacoma is another one. I love those kind of adventures that really immerse you in their world through that first person view. But it's not hectic combat. It's like, it's a little more peaceful than that. And it just makes me feel really attached to the story. It makes it easy to make things very narrative driven.
Yeah.
It gives the player a lot more creativity over like what's going to happen in terms of their experience, because they can go to a lot of different games that have very creative worlds, because they don't have to focus on combat mechanics so much. They can just focus on the narrative first.
Right.
And I'm a very narrative person,
Right.
very narratively driven person. I like strong narratives in my games. Not all the time. I don't need a strong narrative for Super Smash Brothers, to go back to that. But generally speaking, I like a strong narrative in my video games. So that's why I like point and click and walking simulator.
No, when you say walking simulator, like, do you also mean like horror games? Like, can you play like a walking sim horror game, like, or you consider
Like,
that walking a simulator?
What do you mean, like Amnesia or something?
Like Amnesia, yeah.
Yeah, I would never play those games. They scare the shit out of me. I played good lord, I played that the Silent Hill game that never came out, or it came out but never came out.
Oh, PT.
Yeah. I couldn't think of the title for some reason.
Yeah.
And God, that was the scariest game I've ever played in my life. So I already wasn't interested in playing Amnesia, and that made me feel like I am never going to play Amnesia.
Right.
But they do feel somewhat. I've seen people play them before, and they do look like walking simulators. So I could see that. It's like a horror themed walking sim. That seems fine.
Yeah. I'm assuming you played Everybody's Gone to the Rapture and Gone Home.
I actually haven't played that, but I've heard about that, and I've heard it's good.
You played Gone Home, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, Gone Home is terrific.
A little too much walking in Rapture for my tastes. Too much walking, not enough story.
There was no sprint button at all in that game.
Yeah, it was a little slow.
But I think there's a really great Polygon video about a walking simulators. I can't remember what it's called, but it's all about like how what makes a great walking simulator game. It's a very fun game. It's not they're not trying to be really objective. They're just trying to be kind of silly. They're like, can you put one foot in front of the other? Can you see your feet? Silly metrics like that. But I enjoyed it.
Going back to point and click adventure, that was almost my number 5. Point and click games like Grand Fandango.
Yeah.
I think me and you appreciate that more because we're both '90s kids, and because that was more in the '90s. That's kind of a
for sure.
Myth
was huge for point and click adventures,
Yeah,
and so were Flash games. Flash games were huge for point and click adventures.
Yeah, the Lucasfilm games.
Yes.
Monkey Island and all that. Those were like.
Yeah, I never played Monkey Island, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. All right, James, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is rhythm games. This was a big point of contention for me. I could have gone between this or something like RPGs, but I went with rhythm games and stuff like Thumb.
Honestly,
you didn't expect that. That's all. No,
I didn't either.
No, I mean I like it. It's simple fun, isn't it? Like there's something really satisfying about hitting notes to a beat, hitting buttons along with the beat, and just stuff like Thumper and like Guitar Hero. I haven't played a whole lot of Guitar Hero. I think my only real experience with that is Guitar Hero Live, which I think is an underrated game that was a lot of fun. Like the offline track list in that game was a bit not so great, but Guitar Hero, the online thing, Guitar Hero Live or whatever, Live TV, I think it was called. They got shut down, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, no, just rhythm games in general, like, are just a lot of fun. It's always the same sort of thing, but it's just such a satisfying loop,
Did you guys play Rock Band over there? Like, did you play Rock
Band?
I haven't played Rock Band, no.
I played Rock Band 2 on the Wii. Man, that game slaps. That game's so good. One of my fondest memories from college, well, the first time I went to college, around 2010, I remember hosting like a Rock Band 2 party where we all played on the Wii, and it was so good. It was so fun. That's just a great game because you make yourself look like a fool in front of your friends and no one really cares.
Yeah.
Or if they do care, they're assholes. You shouldn't hang out with them.
So James, you play Just Dance?
I have not played.
Do you go all out?
Beyond playing a demo for Just Dance on my Switch and being terrible at it, no, I've never played Just Dance.
Yeah, Just Dance is fun. Like if you once you get over the embarrassment, like
Does that class as a rhythm game?
well, you gotta have rhythm to dance, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, sure. Well,
'Cause you gotta do like the whole,
no.
the whole like
Not for
Alright.
me, but
All right, let's go to number 4. Number 4 for me is platformers. Platformers is another big part of my childhood. Obviously, Super Mario 64 is my very first video game, period. And that's like what started the whole platforming genre, really, 3D platformers. And then I grew up in the 90s, so that was the era of platforming. That was Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Croc, which is not that great, but I still played it. What's the one with the caveman and PS1? It starts with a T.
I know what you're talking about. I played it too.
Yeah.
Juju or something?
No,
or
it's like it starts with a T. I don't know. Anyway.
Tonka?
You're like right. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Then it was Gex and Sonic and Banjo Kazooie and it just go on and on. There's so many great platformers. It's not.
I'm
Go ahead.
I'm ever so slightly irritated now because I actually forgot about platformers, and they probably would have made my number 5.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to make these lists. I could have did a top 10. I left so.
Yeah, there's a lot more genres than you actually think about.
Yeah, maybe we can before the number 1 we can do a quick honorable mention.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, so platforming, it's still around, but it's not the animal mascot platforming era is over. Like they tried to bring ukulele was probably the closest we've gotten to that in recent times, but that was more like that didn't really do well, and the open areas were very barren. Like it wanted to be Banjo Kazooie, which is basically what it was.
The second game, which is more like Donkey Kong, sold pretty well and did pretty well critically.
Yeah.
But the first game that tried to be Banjo was not.
Yeah.
I heard anyway, not as great.
I
think.
Go ahead.
I think platformers are kind of making a comeback because you've got Spyro Reignited, and there's a new Crash coming out, and all that sort of thing.
And 2D platforming hasn't gone anywhere, obviously. I mean, 2D platform has been huge for the last 20 years. I mean,
big in indies as well.
Yeah, like huge in indies. Like even some like puzzle
Celeste.
ones, like Limbo,
Yeah.
Celeste, and Inside, and Ori, and
Brave,
and Super Meat Boy, things like that. Although half those games are like super hard, and I don't like games like that. But all right, Dory, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is survival horror. I'm a big fan of Resident Evil. Huge fan of Last of Us. I don't have a ton of examples other than those 2 games that I can think of off the top of my head. But I've always been interested in checking out other survival horror games. Kind of like I've never played Silent Hill, but I've always kind of been interested in it. And I have not played The Evil Within. I'm not sure how much survival horror that actually is, but I know it's by the guy who made Resident Evil. So.
Shinji Mikami, Evil Within is more like Resident Evil 4 because it's more action focused, but it does have horror elements where you have to sneak around and you can't get caught and things like that.
Sure.
In terms of Silent Hill, it's environmental horror more than Resident Evil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. But so I don't have a ton of examples or anything, but I do love this genre when it works well. It often ends up being some of my favorite games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll get into it because I have it on my list.
Sure.
James, what's your number 4?
So my number 4, what I've got written down here is whatever Kentucky Route Zero is, and then in brackets, I've written art house bullshit. So stuff like that. Like I don't know what you call that genre, really, but it's stuff that's a little bit like Kentucky Route Zero and Journey and that sort of stuff. Stuff that sort of lets you make your own conclusion. It's sort of indie, and it's sort of there's not a whole lot of gameplay. Kind of similar to Walking Sims. It's sort of in that vein.
Yeah.
But sort of stuff that's more. The story is more sort of ambiguous and that sort of thing.
I desperately need to play Kentucky Route Zero. I haven't bought it yet. I really want to. I really want to play it.
Yeah, it didn't click for me until episode 3, but I really want to play more of it. But I know, yeah, definitely. But I don't know what you call that genre, but whatever it is, that's my number 4.
Okay, I gotcha. Uh, like, would you be interested in like Disco Elysium when it comes to PlayStation eventually? Like, would you?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to try that. What with
Oh,
everyone,
it's so good, James.
with what everyone's
Oh my
been saying
God.
about it. I actually
was-
bought it. I bought it on PC. I just haven't tried it yet.
Mhm.
I mean, Wikipedia, for what it's worth, it says it's a point-and-click adventure, but obviously that's very much like reducing it. But yeah. Oh, I should have mentioned for point-and-click adventures. Jeez, I love Disco Elysium. Amazing point-and-click adventure. I want if it wasn't for Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm such a mark for Kingdom Hearts. If I wasn't like that, easily my game of the year for last year.
Right.
So good. I'm excited to play it again on the PS4
Mhm.
when it comes out, whenever the heck that is.
Mm-hmm. Now, my number we're going to number 3 now. My number 3. See, I got to separate these two, even though they're technically the same thing. But actually, I'll put those two together because I have to mention survival horror, obviously. Survival horror it could be my favorite genre, but there's two better. There's definitely two better than that one. But Resident Evil is my favorite franchise of all time. Resident Evil is it's the game. It's the franchise I know like the back of my hand. I know like every detail about Resident Evil. I played every game I've beaten every game like 20 times. But what I love about survival horror is just that it's on you, the player. You need to know when to like dodge enemies. You need to know when to conserve ammo. You need it tests you really. Because we're so used to unlimited bullets and just gunning things down and everything. Survival horror really tests your patience, your item management. How do you manage your health and your ammo? But also what I also love about survival horror is the use of environment. Like camera angles generally, like not so much nowadays, but back in the day, what makes Silent Hill so great is the environment. Like it's not like jump scares, but you can walk into a bathroom and you just hear like a lady crying in the stall, and it never explains what it is, but it just catches you off guard. You know what I mean? The subtle moments, survival horror has great subtle moments. I mean, you get your action scene moments too. Don't get me wrong, but the environment, the use of environment, and the use of camera angles is so good.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with like the genre, but
Yeah.
that was one of my favorite things about Resident Evil 2, the remake,
Yeah.
with how they used sort of it wasn't scary, but they really built the tension with every sort of turn of a corner, and every hallway and that sort of thing. Yeah,
sure. So yeah, obviously that's an obvious choice. If you guys know me, I'm a big survival horror fan.
right.
It's more of an era of the PS2 more than anything. Survival horror is coming back now. I think Resident Evil's starting to go back to its roots, but there's so many freaking survival horror games in the PS2, and then it kind of skipped the generation. Like there was a couple here and there, but PS2 there's so many of them. Like I don't know what it was in Japan. They just decided we're gonna make tons of them, and there was sequel on sequel on sequel. So. All right. Dory.
Yeah, I agree with you, Seb. That I think with survival horror, why I like those games better than Amnesia or Alien Isolation, which I did buy recently. So I mean, we'll see if I actually play it. But the reason I like that is because I don't feel completely powerless, or at least for the whole game. I'm okay if I'm aware, for example, in Resident Evil 7. That at least for some of the game, it does feel a little like Amnesia. At least you don't feel super powerful, and you've got to run away from people and stuff, which is fine. I don't mind that to build tension. I just don't like that as the core, because eventually I like to be able to fight back against the people that I'm fighting or monsters. So that's kind of my problem with Amnesia and stuff like that. But with you're so right that with Resident Evil, it's often on you to preserve your resources skillfully, and when you die, it doesn't feel so much like the game is after you. It feels like, well, you messed up, so it feels a little more fair.
It rewards you, if you screw up, you have to start the game over basically, because you have no ink ribbons, no health, no ammo. You're screwed if you didn't play it right. But if you did play it right, you can actually like take out bosses pretty quick. Like the final boss will be a joke if you really played your game right and things like that.
Yeah.
So everybody has a different play experience. That's what I really like about it. It's very unique. All right, Dory, what's your number 3?
My number 3 should come as no surprise. It is action RPGs. I most notably enjoy Kingdom Hearts. I know I've never mentioned it on the podcast before, but I actually like Kingdom Hearts. But I will say other games. Nier Automata is an excellent game. Maybe a little overhyped, but still a great game. Final Fantasy VII Remake. These are the 3 games that come to my mind first, but I really love... I'm not a big turn-based person, but once you put those RPG mechanics and you mesh them with real-time action, it really gets me. And if you get a really good story, like all 3 of these games I feel have, well, Kingdom Hearts sometimes that's a little more complicated, but then I feel like you got a real winner. At least for me, I really like RPG mechanics. I just don't like when it's messed with turn-based action. That's my big problem with RPGs. Also, I guess for the most part, I'd rather play a tabletop RPG, but whatever.
Yeah. James, what's your number 3?
My number 3, I've written cinematic action adventure. I don't know. Genres are messy. Genres are messy, so it's tough. But yeah, so I'm thinking of like The Last of Us Part 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake. It can there's a bunch of different genres that can cross over and stuff like that. But just that sort of thing where it's very cinematic and it's like third person, and it's that sort of story based thing where it's like. Ghost of Tsushima, like you said, all the PlayStation exclusives, that sort of thing. I'm a big story fan. I'm a big fan of story in games. I think those are some of my favorite games where they tell a story rather than having you just go about doing stuff. Those are the ones that stick with me the most. So I really enjoy the whole sort of cinematic aspect of those kind of games.
Oh, for sure, yeah. All right, let's get into number 2. We're heading in about 22 minutes. So, number 2, I had to put a bunch of genres together because I can't exclude it in my list. RPGs, but not just RPGs, JRPGs, action RPGs, and MMOs. I had to put them all together. There's no way I can separate the 2 or 3. First of all, MMOs. MMOs are a big part of my life. I'm not sure if they are your guys. You guys play that many MMOs in your lives?
I don't have time for MMOs really because you sort of have to dedicate yourself.
Yeah. But I played EverQuest. That's huge. EverQuest 2, World of Warcraft, Star Wars Galaxies, Guild Wars, you name it. I played everything. World of Warcraft, RuneScape, yeah. World of Warcraft, I put in probably 50,000 hours in. I played that game more than any game in my life. I've played that game since I was 11 years old.
It's kind of tragic when you think about it because it's I'd love nothing more than to be able to play an MMO for a long time, but just the time commitment is just far too much.
I always come back to that game. What I do is when it's a dry time of the year, no new games really coming out, I'll get back into WoW. Shadowlands comes out next couple of weeks. But I also have to mention JRPGs, Final Fantasy. Obviously, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. Chrono Trigger, things what I love about RPGs, obviously JRPGs especially, is you fall in love with the characters and the story and the journey. You go on a long 50 to 100-hour journey with the characters and you get emotionally attached to them. And then the endings are always usually emotional, and you feel like you just have to sit back and reflect. You really get attached to those characters. They feel like your children in a way, I guess you could say. Western RPGs I love for a different reason. I mean, they have great characters and everything, but it's usually the fantasy and the role playing aspect of it. When you play an old fantasy game, Divinity Sin or Original Sin or something like that, or a Mass Effect or something. It's more role playing. You're picking the choices. Fallout. You're picking choices of how you're gonna do in that situation. You can use charisma and persuade people, or you can actually do what they ask you. You have all these options. Not saying JRPGs don't have that, but that's more of a Western RPGs generally. JRPGs are usually more linear. They have to tell their own story. But what I love about Western RPGs is there's different branches that you can choose. So everybody can have a different. Well, if they do it right, you can have a different ending or a different conclusion or whatever. So
Yeah, that makes me think of like Outer Worlds and Mass Effect, which are both kind of action RPGs, right?
Yeah.
So those are other RPGs that I really love, Mass Effect and Knights of the Old Republic.
Knights of the Old Republic, best Star Wars game of all time, and that's because you can.
Hell yeah!
So many branches, yeah. That's why people were pissed off about Mass Effect 3 because the ending people felt like it was all the same. It all led to the same.
Yeah.
So I had to put all three genres together just because RPGs in general is they're just addicting. You fall in love with the characters and yeah. Dory, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is kind of the action adventure genre. So stuff like Uncharted, Last of Us, Spider-Man, Arkham. I know 2 of those are Naughty Dog games, and 2 of those are superhero games. But yeah, kind of just the kind of heroic game where you're playing someone who's really powerful for some reason, or just has a really action-y movie feel like Uncharted. I only really like Uncharted 2 so far. I haven't played 4 or Lost Legacy, but just that kind of style of game is really appealing to me. Assassin's Creed I'm a big fan of, especially Black Flag. Action adventures are really great because you can get a really engaging narrative, but you can also get a really great combat as well. Yeah. So kind of best of both worlds with point and click and with sort of the action aspects of action RPG.
Yep. James, what's your number 2?
So my number 2, I went back and forth between my number 2 and number 1 quite a little bit. This is another one that was kind of tough because it comes down to sort of comfort food, I think, for the top spots, right? And so for 2, I've got first-person shooters, which is something I grew up with a lot of. Call of Duty, Titanfall, that sort of thing, Battlefield. Borderlands even, I'm a big fan of the Borderlands games. There's just something, it's just comfort food, like I said. I grew up playing a lot of first-person shooters. I know how to play them. It's sort of ingrained in my brain, and like if a game can get that sort of feedback from the weapon, just right with the sound design and the animations and everything, then it's one of the most enjoyable things in video games, I think.
For sure. How far does your history go with first-person shooters? Like, did you play GoldenEye or Perfect Dark?
No, nothing like that. I think because I'm a bit younger than you guys, so I think my first big first-person shooter was Call of Duty 4. Technically my first sort of big first-person shooter was playing Call of Duty Zombies on my iPhone. But no, the console it was COD 4, which is a good start, to be honest.
Yeah.
That game was fantastic, specifically the single player campaigns, because that feeds into the whole sort of cinematic thing from my number 3 as well, and the story thing.
That was a great era for shooters,
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because shooters were big, but they weren't like they went on another level at that point. Call of Duty became like a monster, Obviously, it's the biggest genre pretty much in the world.
And you know what else? I was a bigger fan of the Medal of Honor reboot games than I think most people were. I was a big fan of Warfighter, especially because I just really loved the fact that they sort of drew that line between something like Arma and Call of Duty, where it's it's a more arcadey sort of thing, but it still makes you feel like you're there. It's more sort of realism. It's not like difficult realism. It still feels arcadey to play, but the sort of the writing and everything, it feels very sort of authentic.
Yeah, sure.
And I was a big fan of that sort of being dropped into that,
For sure. All right. Before I get to my number 1, honorable mention would be point and click games for sure. Like I said earlier. I think that's pretty much it. Unless something comes up to me in my head. So my number 1 is what you guys have already said. My number 1 is actually third-person action adventure games, which is no surprise. I'm hosting a PlayStation podcast. PlayStation is my favorite platform for a reason, And that's because I love third-person action cinematic games. And for the reasons Dory said, you get the narrative that like I love in like point-and-click games, but you also get like the action. You feel like you're in a movie. It's what you get a PlayStation 4. It really it shows the graphics, the performance, the gameplay, the characters, the story. It's everything you want in one genre. Obviously, does it get a little samey sometimes? Yeah, I mean, does PlayStation use a lot of wood color environments? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think like it gets samey, but I think where they sort of differentiate themselves is in the story.
yeah,
A lot of the time.
story, and a lot of games have different enemy types. You obviously Last of Us, you're fighting like you're fighting different type of zombies, and then Days Gone, you're fighting a whole different type of zombie, the Freakers. And then in God of War, you're fighting trolls and stuff. So in Uncharted, you're fighting henchmen. So it's not like you're just doing the same game over again. But I just love the cinematic feel of it. I love in Uncharted 2 when you're hanging on the train. The game opens up and you're in a snowy mountain area, and you have to climb up a train, and just like everything's just getting thrown at you, and it's just really fun. Like it's just very memorable. Like the way that I'll use Uncharted as an example, like Uncharted 2, because this was very revolutionary when it came out on PS3. Was the way the angles of the camera, like when a truck is chasing you, and you're running for your life. The use of the camera like that was not really done like that as much back in that time. I think nowadays we take it for granted, but like the cinematic part of it just feels very memorable. And
you could really, with that scene specifically, you could really feel Naughty Dog's sort of roots in Crash Bandicoot as well.
Yeah.
You know?
With the boulder and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
But those are that's the genre to me that represents a generation. Like when I get a PS5, when I put Miles Morales on, that's what's going to define that generation. It's going to be the beginning of that like open world performance, fun gameplay, and the story. So it's a mixture of all the genre, like I said. All right, what's your number one, Dory? Well, what's your honorable mention, if you have any?
Yeah, I don't have a super lot of honorable mentions. I didn't really think of any off the top of my head. But I mean, probably, I do like some rhythm games like Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe those would be an honorable mention.
Mm-hmm.
My number one is shooters, Halo, Doom Eternal. Anything that's like when I had a 360, I really enjoyed Modern Warfare. So a lot of that goes back to I think what James was talking about with comfort food. Shooters are kind of just easy to get into. I really enjoyed Quake as a kid. I really enjoyed Halo 1, 2, and 3, and I even played a little bit of ODST. I have a lot of roots in shooters, and so I'm always kind of happy when there's a good shooter that I'm really into.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen as much these days, but it's still probably my easiest go-to. Plus, pretty much every single game I've mentioned has shooting to some extent, which is probably the sign that I'm really in it for the action to some extent as well.
You have when you say shooter, do you have a preference for first or third, or you just mean both?
I just mean both. I mean, I kind of like first person a little more, but it's not a huge preference. It's kind of like dubs and subs for me in terms of anime. I don't have a huge preference. But I do like first person because it makes you feel a little more engaged. Right. But it can also make you feel a little claustrophobic. But third person can also make you feel a little detached. So there's pros and cons for both.
Right. Shooter would be my honorable mention too. I love shooters. Like Doom and Quake. Dory, do you prefer arena shooters, or do you think a little more grounded, like Call of Duty? Like what do you prefer?
Yeah, so I mean, when I had an Xbox 360, I played Halo and Call of Duty, and I was always more interested in Halo because I've always felt like Call of Duty was trying really way too hard to be realistic and gritty and stuff like that, and I love that Halo embraced that it was a video game and it was silly and had these this like alien tech called a ghost, and like you could like go around in these things called mongooses and banshees. It was silly, it had an air of seriousness to it, of course, in the story and stuff. But I think there was a lot more fun to be had with it, at least for me personally.
Right.
So I don't really like the grounded stuff as much. Sometimes I do, but
Yeah.
obviously like Halo and Doom Eternal are not especially grounded games in
Yeah.
realism, right? At least I hope not.
Yeah. All right, James. What any honorable mentions or?
Yeah, I mean, my honorable mention is probably platformer,
Mhm.
and walking sims as well. If that wasn't covered in my number 4, art house bullshit.
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of walking games as well. You know, like Life is Strange,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Oh, I forgot to mention
We
Life is
didn't even
Strange.
mention Life.
Another
Yeah.
walk.
I think all three of us love Life is Strange. So.
Yeah, Life
Yeah.
is Strange is phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
like the number 2, especially. I think.
Yeah.
When they really stepped up their writing, but yeah, my number 1
We all know.
is
I think we know.
my number 1 is more comfort food. Is racing games, because I'm probably not surprising. I'm sort of a resident racing games guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I have a long history with racing games. You know, like one of the first games I think I ever played was Gran Turismo on the PS1. Most of my childhood was playing like Need for Speed games on the PS2,
Yeah.
like Need for Speed Carbon, Most Wanted, Pro Street, and everything like that. And so like yeah, I've got a long history with racing games, and so I know how they work. I know the ins and outs. Maybe not racing simulators, so much as I like the middle ground, you know, between racing simulators and arcadey stuff. But I'd probably lean more towards the arcadey stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think racing games would probably be my honorable mention. I loved Burnout 3 Takedown. I loved Burnout 4 Revenge. I was really into Looney Tunes Racing, Crash Team Racing, probably a couple other NASCAR Rumble on the PS1. So I was very, very arcadey. I think I remember trying Gran Turismo and I hated it. Sorry, James. Because I just got so frustrated with the controls.
Yep.
I was also a kid though, so I don't know. Maybe it's better now. It was also very early PS1 Gran Turismo, you know, so they hadn't exactly perfected the controls.
Yeah.
But to be fair, but yeah, so I've always preferred more arcadey stuff, but I can get frustrated with that too. I remember I went back to Burnout 3 like several years ago because my uncle had like a PS2 and Burnout 3 around, and so I played it, and I remember just feeling so frustrated because the oncoming traffic would just constantly just knock you out, and you would always try to follow the AI, and the AI would just magnificently drift in between cars because it's the AI, and you're like, how the hell are you doing this? Anyway, racing games.
Yeah. I never had a whole lot of history with the Burnout series. I only played Burnout Paradise.
Oh yeah, Paradise is okay, but it's not really representative of the Burnout that I love.
Yeah, no, definitely. That sort of they took it in a different direction, right?
Yeah.
I did like Burnout Paradise quite a lot though. There's something fun about just going through that game, just driving through the world, because you know they have you stop at traffic lights for races and stuff. But every time I get in that game, I just find myself driving, and because I don't want to stop at some traffic lights, I just want to keep driving. So that's all I end up doing, you know.
Yeah.
And crashing several times because I'm not very good at it.
Need for Speed Hot Pursuit was great. Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit.
Right.
Was
that one of the older ones or the?
Yes, that was PS1. That was like 98 or something.
Not the remake. Yeah. I never played
a remake too.
They had a remake. Yeah, I never played back that far. One that I really liked was Need for Speed Undercover. I don't think that one was as well received in general, but I was a big fan of that. And what was interesting is like that was one of those games that had sort of two different versions, because I had the PS3 version, and I had a friend who had the PS2 version, and I played it at his house one time, and I was amazed to find that it was pretty much a different game altogether. I think it was more linear and that sort of thing. It wasn't open world, I don't think. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I have a lot of good memories of those games. Yeah.
Oh, cool. The funny thing about me is that racing is actually one of my least favorite genres completely, but I do have a history with it too, though. I mean, my favorite racing game is actually Mario Kart. So obviously, I'm not big into simulated racing games, and I also love Burnout because you can crash and things like that. I played a lot of Need for Speed. Gran Turismo, I've only played maybe one or two of them. I don't. Forza, I've only played Forza Horizon 4, so that's pretty.
That's the thing. Like, it's definitely like I think because it's comfort food for me. So like
Yeah.
there's something really cathartic about just getting behind the wheel and just driving around a circuit. Because I imagine this might be wrong, but I imagine if you don't have a lot of experience with racing games, it maybe would be a bit more stressful trying to drive around a track in like Gran Turismo Sport, trying to manage your braking and brake at the right times and corner and follow like a racing line and stuff.
Yeah.
But for me, I can just sort of do that in the back of my head while I'm listening to a podcast or something, and it's just you know.
Yeah, I mean, I drive in Florida, so it's like Grand Theft Auto every day. So. I get on 995. You know what Dory probably knows what I'm talking about. That highway is crazy. All right, so we're at 40 minutes. Do you guys want to go into dislikes, or do you think?
I think we're good. We have 40 minutes plus the extra time, right?
Yeah, we're an hour and a half, I would say.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
I'm good anyway.
Well, thanks for joining me, guys. I really enjoyed this discussion personally, this segment especially. I think it's a lot of fun talking about genres. It would have been nice to hear Mitch and Fran too, but I'm sure our thoughts are with Fran if he's still down under the weather right now. And
yeah, definitely. Hope he gets well soon.
Definitely. So
Get better, Fran.
Yep. So you guys all have a good night, and we'll be back next week. So peace.
Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
What's up, PlayStation fans? Thank you for watching PS Premiere's podcast. We record every Friday night and upload every podcast at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays. If you like what you heard, we appreciate any support by clicking the like button and subscribing.